Well, if you were waiting to watch The Mandalorian Season 4 on Disney+, the chances of that just became even less. And now we're finding out why it is that The Mandalorian movie moved from that Rey location in the United Kingdom to the sunny shores of California. Folks, we'll explain it right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel. What a joy it is to have you here with us and Jonas J. Campbell as well, investigative reporter for That Park Place. Welcome back, sir.
So good to be here, Pro. And I can't believe that we get to talk about U.S.-based tax credits. Oh, I mean the Mandalorian movie. Sorry, that's what
you know what it is, Jonas. They saw that you and Valiant now had figured them out in the UK. So they've got to go somewhere where they don't have to document these things. I kid.
Oh no, I do congratulate Lucasfilm Productions UK Limited on successfully filing their full accounts for
that's right.
for February 22nd, 2024.
But who's paying attention, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go into the slightly Wayback Machine for just a moment. On this channel, we reported that the plan had been, we were hearing for The Mandalorian Season 4 and the movie to be filmed, produced over in the UK at the same place that they were going to do the Rey movie. But my, oh my, things have changed. And now we're finding out why. Not only do we believe that the Season 4 has been scrapped, and that's looking more and more likely every day. We're not ready to say that definitively, but it's, wow, we're running out of time for them to do that if that's going to happen, if they're going to make a Season 4. And, well, now we're finding out that the entire Mandalorian is moving to California. So you can count this as one of those rumors we got wrong. But actually, I think it was right at the time we reported it. I think that California came out and made a very persuasive argument to Disney to move it to California. And Jonas, I think that probably has something to do with the impacts of the Hollywood strikes. I think California is desperate to get more filmmaking done inside the state. Let's read this article by Dominic Patton out of Deadline, and what an article it is. Great scoop. But folks, very interesting stuff coming your way. This is going to go beyond just the financial tax kind of issues. You want to pay attention to this. The Mandalorian and Grogu lands one of California's largest tax credit awards ever, the first Star Wars flick to be shot entirely in the Golden State, and the majority of Star Wars films have been filmed, and the majority of them in the UK. The Star Wars franchise is coming to shoot a film entirely in California for the first time with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and the Golden State is paying out its weight in tax incentive gold to have the Bounty Hunter saga made within state lines. 2 points on this first paragraph, Jonas. First one is that if California is willing to cut a tax deal that is on the same level as the UK, then it is cheaper for a company like Lucasfilm to film right there in their home state and not go anywhere else. That's cheaper if the taxes are somewhat equal, and that's what California is apparently attempting to do. Now, how much is that? Well, to be specific, this is a total tonnage of $21.7 million in conditional tax credits for the Jon Favreau directed film. With a new Fantastic Four, Gladiator 2, and a new season of The Last of Us on his dance card, it is unclear right now if SAG award winner Pedro Pascal will be resuming his role of Din Djarin and teaming back up with the charming Baby Yoda for the Mandalorian movie. Now stop, because that could be a headline all on its own. Jonas, what do you make of the idea that Lucasfilm announced the Mandalorian movie before they even had Pedro signed on, and apparently he's still not signed on?
That says to me that they are moving very, very fast.
I think it speaks back again to the idea that the Rey movie was planned to go into production and they had to quickly jettison. You would not want to announce something like this in the way that it was announced, and now we're finding out they don't even have their lead actor in the role. And Pedro plays the voice. I mean, at the least, he's the voice of the Mandalorian. So maybe they'll have to get a new voice actor who can mimic perfectly Pedro Pascal. What a crazy thing.
Well, that wouldn't be very difficult. First of all, there is a bit of a distortion on the voice, and second, forgive me, Pedro, if you're listening to this, you don't have that distinct of a voice.
Well, fair enough there. The other thing that I would say, Jonas, is that this also, I think, points to the opportunity for them to use what's called the volume. And Jonas, could you explain to the audience what the volume is and why we might be a little bit anxious for that to be used for an entire feature-length film?
Well, the volume is essentially a large video stage that you can point the camera at your actor, but behind them, instead of a green screen, you have basically a large set of televisions that are projecting that background environment behind them instead of a blue screen or a traditional green screen.
Well said. There's another bit of news out of this too, as well, Jonas, and that is that although it's not in this article, we are now hearing from a number of sources, including folks we think they had the lead on this, Bespin Bulletin, that the Mandalorian movie is likely to be moved from the holiday 2025 release date into 2026. That's not yet confirmed by Disney, but again, it speaks to this idea that they rushed, and they just can't get it done. And I also think that portends poorly for Moana 2 because this is a similar situation. But if Moana 2 misses its release date at the end of this year, that's going to be much uglier for Disney. But it looks like Mandalorian, the movie, is going to be moved from late 2025 to 26. Jonas, anything you've heard that counters that narrative?
No, no, nothing at all would counter that narrative right now because Star Wars films take a long time, and they're trying to do this as cheaply as possible, but also as quickly as possible. And those things run counter to one another as far as this is concerned. So I think that they're going to need all the time that they can get in order to make a good movie.
Yes, I agree as well. And apparently, they're going to spend a little extra time on it. They're going to get a little extra money. They're going to stay close to home. All of that good. Take a look at this, though, Jonas. This is how desperate California is to get filmmakers to film inside their state right now. This is a list of 15 films conditionally allocated inside California to receive $61 million in tax credits as California battles to be, I guess, relevant in the fight for filmmaking inside the state. You've got Animals of Los Angeles. How about that Animals of Los Angeles fighting to have it filmed in Los Angeles. California Convergence, again, it's just too apropos. And then you've got these others, of course, the big one here, the Mandalorian Grogu. We've got a number of films below that we do not yet have names for them. But, of course, Mandalorian Grogu outpaces everything by a wide margin with the 21 million. Now, the reason, Jonas, that we said that it's probably unlikely that season 4 is going to happen for The Mandalorian now is because The Mandalorian season 4 is traditionally shot in California. Well, the seasons prior to season 4, but then season 4 as well, would have been shot in California.
Yes,
There's no
Manhattan Beach.
mention of this about a tax credit at all for the season. And that's a glaring omission if they're going to make a season, which now they have March, April, May. They have 3 months to make what usually takes a 6-month shoot to get those episodes done if they're going to do it. And no, listen, if they don't even have Pedro Pascal signed to the movie, why would I think they have Pedro Pascal signed for season 4 that leads into the movie and would be at the same time? That makes sense, Jonas?
Right.
Does that help the audience understand why this is nuts?
Yes, I think that you're correct. And of course, looking at this, none of these appear to be going back to that list. Sorry, let me put it back up on screen for just a second. I want to point out the Mandalorian and Grogu, Huckleberry Industries. Now they're just flat out saying what the name of the production company is. Untitled 20th film, that would be a Disney production under 20th Century Studios, and then untitled Disney live action film. I wonder if that is finishing up Lilo and Stitch.
That could be. It could be.
And whatever it is, it's about 1/4 of the budget of The Mandalorian, though. So
Now, here's a quick timeline, folks, for those of you wondering why we think that Lucasfilm is running around just flailing at anything they can. Let's go back in the timeline just for a moment. November, they received the script, we believe, for the Rey movie. December, they apparently make the decision that they're going to jettison the Rey movie in terms of it being their first return to theaters. By New Year's, we had the situation where Charmin Obaid-Chinoy was scrambling with her PR team, apparently to save her Rey movie and its release window. Then in January, we get news officially about the Mandalorian movie and the release date of 2025. Then this month in February, we find out that they've tossed the production location. They're moving to California. Season 4 may be gone, and they don't have Pedro Pascal signed yet. This is not the kind of thing that you see a normal studio doing in a 3-month span of time. This is chaos. This is the chaos of Kathleen Kennedy. This is what you expect to see out of her. Only I would say, Jonas, this is accelerated. This is accelerated chaos of Kathleen Kennedy now in 2024. How much longer can Disney go with this woman leading the helm of a studio that clearly is chaotically incompetent?
Well, she speaks to the situation at Disney in general, but she is the most prodigious producer of content that costs Disney money and doesn't make them enough. She was in charge of Force Awakens on some level that made money, and then it's been declining returns from there on out. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny being the crowning achievement in film losses.
You know, the other thing that's going to happen here, Jonas, is they needed a merchandising rejuvenation of Grogu. It's a real problem. It's the only thing that sells for Star Wars right now, other than the Black Series with the classic characters.
Well, right,
They
because they
needed
could put him on shirts, and young girls still like Baby Yoda.
right. Well, now apparently, allegedly, and looking more and more likely every day, there's not a season 4. So that means for 2024, no Baby Yoda. That means that for 2025, now that we think they're going to miss the date, no Baby Yoda. So they've got to wait all the way until probably June of 2026 or May. Let's say they do this for Memorial Day, but they've got to wait until spring, summer of 2026 to revivify the merchandise for Baby Yoda. I just think this is a catastrophe. Everything is pointing to this being another situation of Solo a Star Wars story, of a Patty Jenkins fiasco. It's just all happening again. It is the playbook of Kathleen Kennedy.
The thing I concern myself the most with here is there are people who are in the age demographic for that character that will age out of the
That's a great
demographic
point.
by the time this movie comes out.
That's a great point. The kids who grew up, and I know kids just like this. You're exactly right. There are kids who grew up on Mandalorian season 1 and 2 who they're no longer going to be interested because they're going to be moving in their teenage years. They're no longer going to be interested in Baby Yoda because of how long this took. What a fascinating thing. And the Rey movie, of course, surely now it's a 2027 release because surely they won't release 2 Star Wars films that could fail in the same year. My oh my, what a thing Disney finds themselves stuck in. And Bob Iger, well, you earned it. Jonas, what's coming up on the tremendous sister channel, That Park Place, here on YouTube in the next few days?
Well, if you haven't watched it already, we did a video on how Jim Cramer has come out in support of Nelson Peltz and against the Walt Disney Company board, and therefore, by extension, Bob Iger. That was not a name we expected to come up in support of Trian Partners or to even weigh in directly on the proxy battle. But
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the shade of red that Bob Iger turned when he heard that?
It has to be astounding, and he's not even the guy who interviews him and gives him the hard questions. We've got that. We'll be talking, of course. We'll also be talking about the Mandalorian movie over there. There are so many things going on right now that Vash Sky and I recorded for an hour and a half, and we ran out of topics because we had to take a break. There is so much going on over on That Park Place. Please go over there, check it out, consider liking, consider subscribing.
That's how much entertainment content there is right now, folks, at a time when entertainment seemingly should be on a very slow cadence. They continue to do things that just make us be dumbfounded, and we're only dumbfounded because they are so dumb. Not all, of course. Dune 2, we're hearing, is going to be quite
I
nice.
hear it's fantastic.
Can't wait to get that review out the door. So fair as always here, Jonas. That's what we attempt to do. We're not here to be negative. We're here to call balls and strikes. It's just that Disney keeps striking out, but other studios, well, not so much. We'll ignore Madam Web for the moment. All right, folks, it's time for you now to participate. Do not let this be just 2 talking heads on YouTube, but instead join in as a community dialogue. Share your comment down below. Like, share, subscribe if pro can talk. And folks, don't forget, if you're not yet a member of the channel, for just the price of a soda, you can become one. And if you want really spicy content that you can't find anywhere else, check out the Patreon, www.patreon.com/WDWPro. All right, folks, that's it for today. Don't miss the Pro Show coming out Tuesday at noon Eastern. It is going to be all kinds of FUN. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having that 3-letter word, fun.